The Galactic Council chamber hummed with the usual bureaucratic drone, a symphony of clicks, whistles, and translated speeches that meant absolutely nothing would get done today. Anna Martinez stood at the human delegation podium, her knuckles white against the metallic surface, while Roma Volkov sat behind her, rapidly calculating something on his datapad that was making him increasingly agitated. "Request denied," the Zetharian High Arbiter announced, all four of its eyes blinking in dismissive sequence. "The Terran colony of New Ankara does not meet the threshold for emergency asteroid deflection assistance. Protocol 7 Alpha clearly states, Protocol 7 Alpha was written 3,000 years before humans even discovered fire." Anna's voice cut through the chamber like a plasma blade. "That asteroid hits in 42 hours. 15,000 colonists will die." The Arbiter's translator implant rendered its response with mechanical indifference. "The galactic defense grid is reserved for strategic assets. A minor agricultural colony does not qualify. Perhaps humanity should have considered this before establishing settlements in unstable systems." Around the circular chamber, dozens of alien species nodded their various appendages in agreement. The krill representative, a floating jellyfish-like creature, pulsed with what Roma had learned to recognize as smug satisfaction. Anna looked back at Roma. He met her eyes and gave a slight nod, tapping his datapad twice. The gesture was almost imperceptible, but Anna knew exactly what it meant. "Fine," Anna said, her tone shifting from pleading to something colder, more dangerous. "We'll do it ourselves." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien laughter. The sound was unsettling, chirps, gurgles, and frequency modulations that human ears weren't designed to process. "Humans," the Krill ambassador burbled through its translator. "You barely have warp capability. You possess no planet-killer weapons, no gravity wells, no quantum disruptors. How exactly do you propose to deflect a Class 7 asteroid?" Anna smiled. It wasn't a pleasant smile. "We'll figure something out. We always do." 36 hours later, every monitoring station in the galactic sector was focused on New Ankara. The asteroid, a massive chunk of iron and rock 3 kilometers across, was on an irreversible collision course. The humans had launched something from their orbital station, but sensors couldn't quite identify what. In the Council observation deck, the Zetharian Arbiter watched with its delegation, along with representatives from a dozen other species. They'd gathered not out of concern, but curiosity. Watching a young species fail was always educational. "Their ship is approaching the asteroid," a Krill technician reported. "It's very small. Perhaps a shuttle?" Roma's voice crackled over the open comm channel, broadcast to anyone monitoring the system. "This is the Earth vessel Reckless Abandon to anyone listening. You might want to record this." The shuttle, a craft barely larger than a personal transport, matched velocity with the asteroid. On every screen across the sector, viewers watched as the tiny vessel deployed what appeared to be mining equipment. "They're drilling?" The Arbiter's translator couldn't quite capture its bewilderment. For 8 hours, Roma and Anna worked. They drilled 17 holes deep into the asteroid's core, their movements precise despite the zero-gravity environment and ticking clock. The galaxy watched, confused. "The impact window closes in 6 hours, the Krill ambassador announced. "Whatever they're planning, they're out of time." That's when the sensor readings went haywire. "What are they doing?" The Arbiter leaned forward, all eyes fixed on the data. "Those readings, that's not possible. That's a ship's reactor core." Anna's voice joined Roma's on the comm. "To anyone who's ever told humanity no, pay attention. We're only going to do this once." They'd removed the entire fusion reactor from the Reckless Abandon and lowered it into the asteroid's largest drill hole. But that wasn't the crazy part. The crazy part was what they'd packed around it. Every explosive they could salvage from the orbital station, mining charges, fuel cells rigged to detonate, even the shuttle's own emergency propulsion system. All of it wired into a single ridiculous chain reaction with the fusion reactor as the trigger. "They're going to blow it up," Roma said simply. "Human style." "But they'll be killed," the Arbiter protested. "There's no escape velocity." "Oh, we're not on the asteroid anymore," Anna replied cheerfully. "We're in the emergency pod we jury-rigged from the shuttle's cockpit. It's not pretty, but it'll get us clear." "That's insane," the Krill ambassador screeched. "The debris field will miss the planet by a comfortable margin," Roma interrupted, his voice carrying the confidence of someone who'd done the math 17 times. "We recalculated the fragmentation pattern. Most chunks will burn up in atmosphere. The rest will scatter. You calculated a controlled demolition of a planet-killer asteroid with nothing but a shuttle reactor and mining equipment?" The Arbiter's voice had lost all its superior tone. "Actually," Anna said, "Roma did all the math. I just drilled the holes and wired the explosives. Teamwork." The detonation, when it came, was visible from 3 star systems away. The asteroid didn't just fragment. It vaporized into a spectacular cloud of rapidly dispersing debris, every piece now on a trajectory that would miss New Ankara by a wide margin. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as the tiny human emergency pod limped toward the colony, its hull scorched and barely holding together, but intact. In the council chamber the next day, Anna and Roma stood before the assembly. They were exhausted, covered in bruises, and Anna's arm was in an improvised sling. They also wore matching expressions of barely restrained smugness. "We will be reviewing Protocol 7 Alpha," the Arbiter announced quietly, "and extending emergency grid privileges to all Terran colonies." "Appreciated," Anna said. As they turned to leave, the Krill ambassador's tentacles twitched with what might have been respect. "How did you know it would work?" Roma paused at the doorway, glancing back with a tired grin. "We didn't. But here's the thing about humans. We're really, really good at figuring things out when everyone tells us it's impossible. Usually right before we do something spectacularly stupid that somehow works." Anna nodded. "Next time you see a human say, 'Fine, I'll do it myself,' you should probably take cover. We're about to get creative." As the doors closed behind them, the galaxy's most powerful beings sat in contemplative silence, each realizing they'd just learned an important lesson. Never underestimate a species stubborn enough to strap a bomb to a planet killer and call it a solution. Humanity hadn't just saved their colony. They'd announced their arrival on the galactic stage in the most human way possible by doing the impossible with duct tape, determination, and a calculator. The galaxy would never look at Earth quite the same way again.